So we want to give enough time to get everybody situated and we can get started. We have a lot of questions, so thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm Laura Spiro. I'm the City Club Board President in the City of Springfield representative on City Club. I'm excited to be here today and help host this forum. Great to see this crowd out, to see the candidates and then hear them answer our questions and your questions. So first, just a little bit of housekeeping. I would like the rest of the City Club board just either raise their hand or stand up to be acknowledged. Thank you for their time and effort to help put this on, especially Nick, who coordinated with our candidates to be here today. Really appreciate that. We have, if you're not a member of City Club, we do have membership applications on the table. Would love to have a few more members. It definitely helps us put on forums like this. If you are not on our email distribution list and would like to get our emails, post about these kind of hosted forums and other presentations we do, fill out this form. You don't have to be a member to be on our email list, but we definitely want to make sure you're informed about what we're bringing forward to the presentation. We have a few more candidate forums coming up later in May. Today's program includes questions for the audience. If you do have questions, there's this form on the table. We ask you to fill that out, and then I'll be collecting them, handing them to Paige and Chris, who will be going through them, and then handing them to Nancy to help integrate them into our questions as well. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters and Lane County to being here. Callie and Nancy are here representing them. Nancy's actually going to be our moderator today. Callie will be our timekeeper. And then thanks to Len, who's running Zoom, and will also let us know if there's any questions that come in through Zoom from our viewers online. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Nick to come up and introduce our candidates that are here today for the forum.
Laura, thank you all for attending the City Club today. I had the pleasure of arranging the candidates for the county commissioner race to come here today. All are very responsive and excited to be here. Today we have Commissioner David Lovell, Mayor Sean Van Gordon, and Mr. Ron Stoller. Can you hear me? Oh, that's what's in the good here. We have each candidate's bio on the website, so instead of reading through those, if you have a chance and you don't know the candidates real well, just jump on the City Club's website and you can read through the bio provided. We just wanted to allow as much time today for the questions and the conversation with the candidate. I don't think the next speaker is going to be this tall. Nancy Mills with the League of Women's Voters will be our moderator today for the panel. And again, I just want to thank all the candidates for their participation today. I know a lot of people in the room are excited to hear what they all have to say today. So I'm going to hand it off to Nancy, and I probably ask the candidates to please come up and take a seat in the front. Good luck.
Please seat yourself in alphabetical order.
Left to right.
And you're in the middle.
And you notice none of us passed that test. So don't hold it against me.
Already worried.
Shouldn't Commissioner Lovell be first? Before Mansour?
Yes, Lovell should be seated first.
That's
I just
Mr.
like
Mansour in the
pepperoni,
middle.
just for everybody around. I like pepperoni. It's all good.
So it's my pleasure.
technically I'm in the middle.
It's my pleasure to add my thanks to the Springfield City Club for putting on these forums. This is a really important aspect of election preparation, and from the people who voters' point of view, this is really important. This is absolutely vital, and with respect to that, the League of Women Voters of Lane County has almost but it has an awful lot, if not all, of the information that you need to prepare for the upcoming election. There are ballot measure explanations, print and video. There are, candidate forums listed with their dates, including this one, and with information about how they can be viewed remotely after the fact, in case the upcoming, ballot deadline is, approaching and you haven't finished figuring out who to vote for. So look at the league's, website for all sorts of, important information, and I have two certificates of information. You can get information about voting using our digital voters guide. It's vote411.org. And there are cards next to the Parmesan sheets. If you want to pick up a card. And the second and really important thing is to make sure that all of you know, and that you tell all your friends, that with changes in the post office, the mail is no longer postmarked in Eugene and Springfield. It goes to Portland, which means that if you mail your ballot on election day, there is no guarantee it will be postmarked on election day. So we are encouraging everybody to mail their ballot early, ideally a week ahead of time, if you can, or use an official elections Dropbox. So keep that in mind, and please pass the word, because we're trying to make sure that everyone, particularly folks in rural areas, are aware of this, because they don't have the same kind of access to ballot boxes that we do. So tell all your friends and neighbors. So thank you much. Okay, I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the process. And so the candidates will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement, and they'll speak in alphabetical order. And then following that, I will pose questions to them, and we'll just go sequential alphabetical order so that no one gets to be first or last consistently. The candidates each get 1 minute to answer each question, and there will be no rebuttals. And we'll make sure that since this is scheduled for around 60 minutes, that at approximately 12:55, I'll offer each candidate an opportunity for a closing statement, reverse alphabetical order, and then we'll close the forum. So that's how this is going to work. And so we'll start then with opening statements. And so now, since in terms of alphabetical order, Mr. Mansour will speak, right? No, Mr. Lovell will speak. Darn it, I was a chemist, I could do math. Anyway, so Mr. Lovell.
Thank you, Nancy, for all you guys do. You guys are great political partners on our meetings. Thank you. I've delivered as your county commissioner by results, not empty promises. As a businessman, I'm revenue focused. I brought Lane County back into the ONC Timber Board, bringing more money that's rightfully ours from our natural resources and without plucking the wallets of taxpayers. My work secured a $150 million Sierra Pacific strategic investment program while keeping the county demands minimal so we could get the deal done. I'm firm on accountability. Early in the Clean Lane project, I was the one commissioner that wanted to put it in front of the voters. It was voted down. Anything that has this much risk, you need to weigh in on. This contract is going sideways as we speak. My mental health idea with Craig Opperman here in the room early on was wanted to put together a 24-bed youth facility for $3 million. We could have been operating almost 2 years by now, and that too was voted down. I'm disappointed about that. I voted for our labor partners, moved to ensure the sheriff was paid a fair wage, and helped bring land management to audit to address why Lane County is facing so many legal challenges for legal lot verifications. I also stood by the CB Loop neighbors and got them the flood conversion for their mobile homes to real homes that they were able to and rightfully outcome to have. I guided 331 decisions last year as board chair. 14 were split, so I think I bring people together to work together pretty well. I put money where my mouth is. I've invested all of my retirement. My private company has created over 200 jobs, 24 housing lofts in downtown Springfield and 12 commercial spaces. I funded Springfield High School's mariachi band and the police drone program. And I will not vote for any other taxes. I voted against the 30% pay increase for commissioners. My commitment is simple. I work passionately I hold others to strict, uncompromising codes that I hold to myself. And my leadership I've demonstrated is the way it is. It's direct, it's for you, and that's a leadership I'll continue to work on.
Now, Mr. Mansour. And after the opening statements, we'll just pass the mic back and forth so people won't be moving around.
Is there a timer somewhere?
I've got the time cards.
Hello, William Mansour. I'm a retired crisis clinician. I'm a military veteran. I'll make this kind of brief. I support community cohesion that builds trust, shared values, and mutual respect that will help unite our community. I will promote a better sense of belonging for all the people in the community to help reduce inequalities and strengthen safety, helping residents feel more secure, supported, and connected, particularly in managing local tensions, because there's a few right here and now. Responsible leaders support diverse societies. We have quite a diverse society in this community. Ensuring that everybody feels part of the community and that they have a shared future in the community. A lot of young people don't feel like there's much of a future. I will nurture partnerships with governments, residents, and organizations to work together to nurture healthy growth and development, public safety, and community well-being.
Mr. Bender.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. My name is John Van Gordon. I'm the mayor of Springfield. I'm running for Lane County Commission to represent Springfield, Seaview, Laurel Hill, and surrounding communities. I have the privilege of serving Springfield during some challenging years, and I've always believed that steady leadership matters. Since we both have records, you have a clear opportunity today. Look at the results that we've delivered, our leadership styles, and how we make decisions when the issues complex, as well as evaluate our vision that we have for Lane County. Across Lane County, families and businesses are feeling the instability in county government and the uncertainty in economic conditions. People deserve a county government that is steady, that's predictable, and focused on the work that helps families and businesses succeed. I'm running because I believe in Springfield. I believe in Lane County. Government should deliver for you. I'm focused on good governance, economic growth, and public safety. As an elected official, how you treat people is as important as how you vote. You deserve leaders that are focused on service and outcomes. Thank you so much.
So we'll now move to questions. And the first question has been addressed a bit in all of the statements, so I'd like to allow the candidates to add anything or emphasize anything that they might have mentioned before. We're going to start with Mr. Mansour, and the question is, what qualities and experience make you the best candidate for county commissioner? We'll go in alphabetical order.
What qualifying for? Oh, there we go.
We get to pass the mic now, Brad.
If I understand the question correctly, what qualifies to be,
What qualities do you have?
or what qualities do I have? Well, I'm a listener. I respect people. I treat everyone with dignity. I've worked with Lane County in behavioral health. At the time it was called Department of Mental Health. I worked with youth services, very intense working environment, and employees sometimes it's best because of situations that occur, and you have to cooperate, you have to communicate, and you have to respect not only the citizens that you're working with, but your fellow staff. And I think that's one of my great qualities: to listen, to respect, and show dignity to others.
We're gonna just go in the order in which.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Qualifications that I bring to the job, I'm a business owner. I know what it takes to run a business. I know what it takes to spend within your means and to also earn revenue. I'm a visionary and I'm a doer. One of the first people I met in downtown was when I was leaf blowing sidewalks, dressed like this. He asked me, something doesn't fit here. What are you doing? And I said, well, I'm improving the neighborhood that I own because I think it's good for the community. So I'm one of those people who do and get to the work of the job. I hold people accountable. As your tax dollars are on the hook, we need to make sure that people are doing their jobs to the best of their ability and to the best of the value of that ability. And I also inspire folks and mentor folks. I have a history of inspiring people, leading them, bringing them up as I lead, and that's how I do things in Lane County. Thank you.
Thank you. The qualities I have are really my experience in judgment over 15 years being an elected official in the city of Springfield. I served on every intergovernmental board that is out there, formed policies, and I'm a known quantity on the regional level. I've built relationships at the state and across governments. And really the moment that we're in requires that elected officials work together for outcomes. And I think that's the most important thing we can do here is have a good conversation, figure out how to work together to produce outcomes for the public and businesses. Yeah, okay.
So the next question is gonna first be answered by, Mr. Lovell. And what initiative are you passionate about and would work to further if elected?
Well, the biggest initiative that we all have in this room is public safety. That is the biggest initiative that we have. We have to run our jail. We have to have a sheriff's department that has more than 3 deputies per shift in a county that's the size of Vermont. And we have to make sure our DAs are funded so we're not prosecuting anything above a measure 11 crime, which is where we are now. We are deficient in that to the tune of $55 million in the county budget. We can't cut our way out of it, but we certainly can readjust our expenses and then ask the temperature of the voters what they're willing to contribute for this. As I said before, I'm revenue focused. We need to get back in the timber business to create revenue. Salvage business, we burn trees because there's too much debris and too much fuel in there because we haven't managed our forest appropriately. I'm going to Washington next week to lobby for that. I've been doing that for 3 years. We need to create revenue to make sure that our community is safe, because if we don't have a safe community, we don't have a community.
The number one issue for me is really economic development. We live in a really uncertain time for both businesses and for individuals. Economic development and economic growth is the thing that makes the pie bigger and helps with every problem that we have, from cost of living to how do we fund resources and pay for infrastructure. An easy thing that we can do on day one is, as a county, is get more involved with the Southern Willamette Innovation Corridor. This is the first time the university's really brought people together from both cities, from businesses, to talk about the research investments that have happened in Lane County. This is an opportunity for us to effectively grow the pie. The people that are listening at the table is the county commission. And if I'm elected day one, I'm gonna say we gotta have somebody showing up for the most important economic development conversation that we've had in a generation here. We'll figure this out.
I agree, John. Economic development is critical for our community and public safety. More money that comes in, more people employed, more people are able to pay taxes. People half years, it's like when the Ducks win a football game. Economic development will give you stimulation in the economy, and a lot of our problems can be solved with some of the tax money coming in. They don't have to raise taxes. There will be more income coming in. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Van Gordon. That's what I.
Okay, we'll get this down.
How would you balance serving the priorities of Springfield and those of Lane County?
At the core of this is good governance and trust among the board. You represent both Lane County and you represent the district that you're from. In a high trust working board, you make decisions as a group. You have collective responsibility. And if you've got that trust, you're really hearing from other groups of folks, when they bring something up, you're like, okay, that is a really good idea. The other thing that helps District Two is how close it is to the city of Springfield. I know what our issues are, right? I have good relationships with obviously the elected officials still in the city of Springfield today. My commitment is to continue to meet with them on a regular basis to understand what issues and where we can partner from a county perspective and figure out what everybody's goals are, how we move forward together, and frankly, just make progress on the big problems that we face today. We're not gonna solve everything tomorrow, but we can get from this point where it feels like everything's locked up. It's a minute's pretty quick. Yep.
Well, you know, Tom believes that he knows the issue he may, but there might be issues he's unaware of, so I would offer plenty of opportunities for people to share what their interests, what their concerns are, and I know right now, inflation is everybody's concern. And getting feedback on people's needs and wants and issues. I would gather as many people together and give them opportunity to speak. And I would act accordingly. Commissioners have to deal with the attorneys to approve things, give their opinion. We have committees. All that's gonna be available to us and make the best decisions as a group.
So hold on to that mic. You've already spoken.
No.
I have not spoken on this question yet.
Well, then, you can speak. We'll make Karen notes.
Thank you, Nancy. The county board operates on 3 votes. You have to have 3 votes. County board has 5 members or like 5 mayors of the county. Unlike the mayor who's here, he gets to kind of make all the decisions because, you know, he's got a business friendly community. The transfer station, in my mind, is probably the biggest thing the county can help out with Springfield. It needs to move. I put that on the table 3 times and it's gotten parlayed because the Clean Lane project has overtaken that. That's part of economic development in Glenwood. The Roth family that's here has been part of this equation. We're finally making progress in Glenwood. I think that too is the next thing the county can come. Small business, supporting small business is economic development #1 for the county. We need to make our permitted policies to get out of the way of small business, stop taxing them, stop putting a payroll tax in order, and make small business affordable to open a business. 80% of Springfield is small business. I love what Springfield does with their homelessness and their policies, and I think if we adopted some of Springfield's homeless policies, panhandling ordinance, as you call it, would bring people that are in need to our facilities for healing, and Lane County would not become an enabling county with toxic charity that they're doing now. Thank you.
So I'm now gonna make an executive decision. We're gonna start on and go this way on the table. So next, Mr. Mansour, and the question is, what is one policy decision in Lane County that Lane County made in the last 10 years that you think was a mistake, and how would you fix it?
I don't know, it seems like it'd be hard to fix after they've made a decision. But I was questioning the $3 million amount paid for the old Wells Fargo Bank. That's gonna cost probably 12,000 more to redo it and modify it. My understanding, that's gonna be the court and the sheriff's office. I'm not that clear on it. I just know that it seems like an awful lot of money. You could probably build something by the jail where the sheriff spends a lot of his time. You already have facilities there and courtrooms there. I mean, it's gonna be like probably 15 million before it's done. So I can question that, but what can you do about it at this point?
We're sliding this way, Nancy?
Here's your-
Gosh, I'll get this down. Unequivocally, the Clean Lane project is the biggest debacle the county's engulfed in. $174 million. We first bought a piece of property in Goshen that was zoned wrong. It was in the floodplain. 4 of those lots weren't even legal lots. The state of appeals court just shot that down last week. We're now in a quandary of what to do. We have a contract that laid all the liability on you taxpayers in Lane County. One of the biggest debacles of staff contract negotiations in history. We should have been focusing on the leachate pipeline to bring Crestwell and Cottage Grove and the issues of what leaches out of Short Mountain. That should have been our highest priority because that would have created economic development in our surrounding communities, created housing in Crestwell, and solved 17 to 25 trucks of cruddy leachate stuff going somewhere else that we're draining off of Short Mountain. So the Clean Lane project, in my mind, is the hugest debacle that Lane County is involved with, and all of us need to write, whoever you write to get that project stopped. Thank you.
All right, I think it's Clean Lane as well. I think there's an opportunity to pull back and prioritize, things around Glenwood in the South County a little bit differently. They should be working the leachate lane first. They gotta get Crestwell developed. Then, move the transfer site and then figure out whatever you're doing in the Beheimer. In 2022, the city of Springfield gave the county that priority list. The whole council sent a letter. We heard nothing back. When I say the government is sort of slowing down and becoming dysfunctional, it's stuff like that. We wrote the county commission, nobody wrote back and outlined that entire issue. So what do? The first thing is you gotta get all the executive material out in front of the public. It's gonna cost money to get out of whatever we do next. The second thing is you gotta get on the same page about basic facts about the project. Nobody knows how many tons we have or if there's enough tons to run the entire project. Again, political leadership sometimes is about backing up a step and getting on the same page.
Mr. Maloney? No, to Mr. Mansour.
Yes, that's right.
No, that's not right. This was not intended to be a comment.
The government was this, right, Nancy?
Okay, what role would you support for the county to play in addressing the supply of housing in the region?
The county needs to get out of the way, basically. As a developer, I know what it takes to develop anything, commercial and housing. It takes per square foot a certain cost. And right now that hovers about 380 square feet. Eugene has 1,600 homes they're trying to build. Last year, they only pulled 350 permits approximately. If they're mandated by those 1,600 homes to build 40% of those affordable housing, which is not what it is, subsidized housing, figure this, let's do some quick math. If it takes $1 billion to build 1,600 homes, 40% of those need to be subsidized housing. That means $400 million has got to come from somewhere. This is not the government's issue to solve this math problem. It's to get out of the way, get permitting favorable for the developers, make tax incentives, make incentives for people who want to come here and invest dollars and be creative. Cottage housing has been shot down in Springfield. I can't tell you how many times. We need to make it easier for developers to come to us as entrepreneurs to solve this problem and get out of the way so they can do that.
Housing is the challenge of our time, whether it's on all levels. The county's got to be a better partner here. And by partner, I mean, cities need infrastructure. They need to go to the state to find that funding to get water resources, to address traffic resource cap, to address sewer resources. It requires Lane County and all the governments to show up with the united front to find the funding to really invest, to create a situation where people want to build housing in this area. The other thing is, it's just looking at planning, right? We've done this in Springfield. We rewrote our development code. We made it easier to understand what you're expected to do with your piece of property and got to yes quicker. So the thing I would want to do in the county is just back up a single step and talk about, hey, how do we streamline the development code, get to yes quicker, and look for places where permitting can be economical for people.
There's one problem in the horizon that you may or may not be aware of. A lot of hedge funds and investors are buying property all over the United States, and they're making it more unaffordable, making it more homeless. And I think Congress is considering making some action on that because it's getting to be a crisis. When they buy property, apartment complexes and so forth, and then they basically evict people rather quickly, making more homeless. I know in Springfield, there's an outfit out of LA that has a property management out of Seattle, and they've evicted in the last 6 months a disabled person in wheelchair, they just rent, a veteran, they just rent, and a couple that, were just trying to barely make it day to day, just because they didn't, cooperate with a lot of the rules and regulations, and they write the leases, and the leases are 10 pages.
So, for our next question, what will you do to improve access to healthcare in Lane County?
Yeah, absolutely great question. Right now, the healthcare system's at a breaking point in Lane County. So we've got to address a couple of things. So one of them is build out infrastructure that the healthcare system needs, right? So that's the rehabilitation hospital, that's more behavioral health options, really filling the gaps that we don't have today. The other one is, Lane County mobile crisis response. They've been going for maybe a year now. Here's an opportunity to really talk about what you need to do going forward over the next 5 years, how you support mobile response as well as you possibly can, and support first responders so the system works as effectively as possible. Healthcare is about getting the right rules and the right resources so that we have more capacity to serve folks. And everywhere from behavioral health to primary care physicians, we are missing critical pieces.
Yeah, just today in the news, there was information about the hospital having all sorts of problems with their administrator, their chief medical officer. My experience in healthcare is that educate the community. Preventative medicine is much cheaper than anything else. I would do all sorts of programs on getting people educated on their health, their mental health and so forth. I've taught classes on different clinical mental health problems, and people came and listened, they learned, they tried to help themselves, they learned about ways to do that. And I think that that's going to be one approach that I take in this thing.
Thank you. I would agree. The mobile health crisis that the county took on, I think in my opinion, should have been put out for RFP. Nobody responded to that. That's why the county responded to it. The county also responded by opening a clinic when the downtown Peace Health Hospital closed. There's a lot of onus on the county to come in and save the day. And I think what's happening is the state's making it super hard to do that. We should push back on state mandates. Right now, our mental health healthcare system is now focused on aid and assist rather than our citizens. We need to find ways that OHA, the Oregon Health Authority, will help build more services so we can support our clinics that we've opened up for those in need. And we also need to have our legislators come back with more flexible ways to use the funding that we have. We're back at for assistance, like the mobile health crisis is very narrow the way we can use those dollars. We need some flexibility because each county has unique public health needs and one size does not fit all. So I think we need to push back a little bit.
So next to Mr. Marcelo. And our next question is an election integrity question. Given the elections clause of the U.S. Constitution, the fact that the Lane County Commissioners swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and Lane County is responsible to conduct elections, what would your response be to the attempted federal interference in congressional elections in Oregon?
Well, if I understand the question,
Yeah, I have some question about that too. Can we have a clarity question? Can we revolt there a little bit? Can you get more clear on that question? That's really a broad question to ask, but what are you asking specifically?
What I think that the questioner is asking is, what can Lane County and the Lane County Commissioners do to assure elections integrity?
Okay, thank you.
well, I would definitely try to save voting by mail. There's been a few problems and that's unfortunate. It was terrifying to hear some of the problems that they had with DMV sending out legislation, putting people on legislation that shouldn't have been on there. That is correct. You need to audit it. You have to have transparency. And I think just defending voting by mail is something that I would do. I think it's constitutional. I think it's beneficial. And I think it's important to keep that alive.
Lane County Board of Commissioners are responsible for the elections. We just hired Tommy Gong out of California. He was a highly touted elections official. He also wrote a book on Bruce Lee, which I thought was pretty cool. He knows the process. He comes to the Board of County Commissioners and educates us on the process. Each county commissioner has toured the process in that facility, so they know how it is. Now, the best thing we can do as county commissioners is ensure the public's trust by the chain of command. The chain of trust from vote, where it comes into the system, goes through the system, and gets counted by the system, is paramount. We have cameras at every avenue and every deposit box to make sure there's no vote stuffing and all that kind of thing. That's something we can lean into harder. Also, for us to do is we need to review our voters' rolls. According to some of the people that come forward to me, we have 11,500 more voters in Lane County than we have people. And that disturbs me. So I think our voter rolls need to be checked. And sometimes when we're out knocking on doors, there's 9 or 10 people registered to a household. And those people have lived there 40 years. So we need to update our voter rolls and make sure they're accurate.
I'm gonna start with, where I think the question is going. It is very clear the Constitution gives the power to run elections for the states. It is a state policy that the state is in charge of. So when you think about this conversation that's happening between the federal level and the state level, look, the county's is responsible to the state for elections. Transparency is a great point. We should still be investing in in the election system at the state level. We should look for places to make it easier to understand, that it's cleaner to understand, and we're frankly just open to the public as possible. We live in 2026. There's a certain expectation among voters that people share their work and show it. That's how you really build trust through transparency.
Sorry, Mr. Love, Mr. Love. So, question is, what are the actions that the county should be taking now to reduce the risk of a bad fire season?
Well, that's easy. We need to get back in the forest and manage our forests. We need to lean into the ONC 1937 Act of Sustainable Management. That also keeps the forest level fires down, wildfires down. It also is an economic boost to our county. Those 75% receipts that we used to get, now that we have that back, and now that the federal government's pushing forward for us for higher timber production, for sustainable yield, that's going to create upwards between 3,000 and 5,000 more jobs if we lean into it like we should. That alone will put more people in the forest, which will reduce our fire risk. Our fire risk in 2024, we burned 2 million acres, and that's unacceptable. Before that, the largest fire we had was somewhere in the 80s, and it was a 1,000-acre fire. It's proof, it's been scientifically proved, there's too much material in the woods. We need to get back in there and manage our forests and clean our forests out and make them sustainable and enjoyable for recreation and economics.
Mr. Kendall.
Globally, I feel like we live in a song of fire and ice anymore. And the fire season can be scary and impactful to people. Forestry is one answer to that question. When every year I go back to Washington and we talk to the Forest Service as a united front, the county's never on the same page about what it wants out of its forests. You get one elected official that says one thing, another elected official that says another. We've got to figure out things we can do this year to reduce our fire risk. That is communication, out of the cities, right? Whole cities are exploring wildfire mitigation programs. That's partnering with people like in places like Willamette Lane as they reduce the urban load for fire. And frankly, the county does a really nice job of putting out fire mitigation grants for homeowners to create defensible space. This is a really complicated issue, and I say that a lot about the issues we're facing, but we have to find different places to move the dial and reduce risk across the county.
It is a complex issue because, if I understand the question correctly, fires in Hawaii were caused by the same climate system as the ones in Oregon. You can't ignore that. Preparing for the fire season is important. I used to be a wildlife fighter from the Forest Service. I traveled all over the West. Making sure that the area close to homes is cleared off and having some type of warning system to let people know and getting volunteer firefighters involved. That is something that we're gonna have to consider more and more in the future. It's probably gonna be a problem, and man can do the best he can, but nature has to experience.
So the next stop is Mr. Edwards.
Yeah.
Flip the coin.
Please correct me. Okay, with growing service needs and limited resources, what programs would you cut, audit, or change before asking taxpayers for more money?
This is a really great question. The county's got, I swear, a million funds. I think it's only 34. That is more complicated than any city goes through. So I think the best thing you can do is start by going through each of those funds and looking for ways in that fund to stabilize it, right? That goes in from everything to general funds to road funds. I think the goal of the county's got to be to find some sort of budget stability across those funds. So that means you gotta have conversations at the state level to see, does a matching grant need to change, or does the funding allocation need to change? You've gotta have conversations that help the assessor out so that you can accurately assess taxes for everybody. And you've gotta have a clear conversation with the community about what they actually want for services before you get into a deep conversation about revenue. Economic development, including the timber industry, are critical to the answer here.
Well, if I understand the question, what programs would you cut, where would you move the money? And that would take studies, it would take transparency, it would take looking and reviewing what the money has been used for and has it been effective. And at that point, I would have committees that would review it, I would make the best decision with the other commissioners on what to do and go forward with it.
We have 1,964 employees in the county, and we've done that by ARPA money, federal money that's bloated, I think, our employment base. I think we could cut some employees back. I hate to say that, but as a business person, we have revenue and we have expenditures, and we need to stay within our means. We also have to serve and let go anything that's no longer tenable. In other words, there's some departments that have been there for a while, have done their job, have created culture changes and rules and regulations and policies, and now they're still hanging on, and I think they could go away because they've done what they've done. We need to keep our county's assessors by building appraisers. There's been reports coming back to the county that there's subdivisions that have been online for 12 years and we're not on the tax rolls because there's too few people to go out and appraise things and get those back to the county assessor. And then I think lastly, we need to fill finally after 7 years, our performance auditor position within the county that would give us a daily report, a monthly situation of where we're at so that we can make those policy decisions and those important decisions of what we keep and what we let go.
Ms. Conser is next. The next question. Give us one proposal to improve economic development in Lane County. One proposal.
One proposal, economic development in Lake County. I'm old school. The lottery was created and the people of Oregon voted it in for economic development. It has got corrupted. I know several businesses back in the 80s that got money, they developed businesses and they had to repay some back and that was fine. But nowadays, everything is away from economic development. It's in there, it's still in there. It's documented, you can still use it, and I think Lane County needs to focus on that and use it.
Getting the nod from Nancy, it's my turn. Thank you, Nancy. I thought that was a one-word answer, so I'm gonna answer it this way. I would do an ad campaign that says this: we'll do what it takes. And that means every tool in the toolbox is on the table for development to come in. That means we'll partner with Springfield Utility Board and we'll help with infrastructure. That means we'll partner with tax incentives. That means we'll partner with delayed financing, maybe for system development charges and permitting. All of the things are on the table. We need a county that preaches to the masses and the public out there and those who want to come invest in our great county, that we will do what it takes to bring you here and to make it successful.
All right, I started the story with good governance. Good governance leads to good economics. One concrete proposal, move the transfer site. It is something this community has asked for 25 years. Last year, we brought the county a developer that would have purchased the transfer site and given them cash for that property. Because of dysfunction at the board, they couldn't even figure out how to have a meeting yet. So good governance, I trust, gives us an opportunity to have some of these discussions and figure out where to get involved. Another good example is infrastructure investment. We've asked the county to partner around Glenwood infrastructure investment for 15 years. And we can't get anybody to move on that. That's a commitment that they made 10, 15 years ago, and everybody seems to have forgotten that. So good governance leads to good relationships. Where we can show up together is a place that we can actually drive economic development.
The next question, and it is, what do you see as the county's primary responsibility?
Well, the county's primary responsibility is to make sure we administer the budget, we balance it, and we use your tax dollars effectively. That's the biggest thing that we can do. We have a lot of things that we are responsible for, the state puts us in charge of for public good and public health. But mainly, it's a dollar issue. We have to steward your tax dollars in a way that pays you returns on your investment. Because everyone wants their potholes fixed. They want the lights to work in their favor. They want healthcare when they need it. And that's a butter that has been spread so thin that we're gonna have to readjust our expectations and allow people to bring us their priorities. And as a board, we need to respond to your priorities with the money we have and the expenses that we have to balance that so we can deliver on promises rather than just platitudes.
We'll get it, we promise. Each level of government has assigned tasks, right? So it's gotta be bigger than simply balancing your budget. You've gotta figure out how to move the dial on the public safety system. That fundamentally is the thing that keeps our families safe and our businesses safe and our citizens safe. And for places like the city of Springfield, we pay for patrol, right? We have the police department, but DAs, mental health, parole and probation are all services that we see behind the scenes. And having serious conversations and discussing the trade-offs about how to move the dial on problems is really what government's for. And frankly, if we had something easy that we could do to solve all these problems, the county commission would have done it like 30 years ago, right? The problems we face as a county around public safety, economic development, timber, all the things we've named so far are things that are going to require deep discussions and deep trade-offs.
Well, I agree that budget is primary focus of the commissioners should be responsible for. Each department presents their budget to the county commissioners, and then we review it and see where the priorities are and make adjustments to that. Just having open books and knowing where the money is being spent and getting the departments not to present something that they don't need, I think is critical.
The next question is, what steps can Lane County take to support Vision Zero and the goal of no deaths or major injuries on our roadways?
I think you have to be responsive to individual neighbors. There's one big piece to traffic safety that's not really talked about. If you look at the data that comes out of ODOT, it's always like 6 years old. You know, the county helping and advocating for faster data would help our safety picture. The other option is the county needs to take charge of the intersections that it's currently in charge of, like Bob Straub and Daisy. That is an intersection, that is a county intersection that is particularly dangerous. Springfield citizens put it up all the time. And we need to focus on the places where traffic safety can improve that are in our control.
I don't have a lot of knowledge in this area. I was voted as commissioner, I would research it. I would find out what the current data is, the most recent available. And I know ODOT is very protective about anything you do on their road. You have to go through a whole bunch of bureaucracy stuff to get things changed and so forth. But in county roads, that should be up to the commissioners. And I would act as quick as possible if there's a hazard and a danger. Get that resolved, and potholes too, because those cause accidents and they cause problems and they cause serious illness and damage to vehicles.
We've talked a lot about this in the county, and there's three main issues that the county always comes back to with ODOT and traffic people. That's engineering. A lot of our roads are not engineered well. People are driving at excessive speeds and they're leaving the roadways and causing serious injury and even deaths. Our traffic enforcement team, our county, we used to have a sheriff traffic enforcement team. We don't anymore. That alone would save deaths. So that's according to the sheriffs. A lot of people in the county think that, well, the traffic enforcement team can almost write enough fines to pay for themselves. Well, that's not necessarily true, unfortunately. I believe that too. So we need to also put our traffic enforcement team back on there somehow. And education and implementation. That's the other thing that we're lacking. People lack education of how the roadways are navigated and what speeds need to be handled. There's safety zones that we put into place that have also helped mitigate some of those damages. And also, I think just from a political standpoint, there's something called governmental economic development or governmental pace and actual pace. I think we should put some deadlines on some of this. A lot of times we just talk about things and they just keep getting pushed out in the future.
Mr. Consors, for the next question. How do you view the position of Springfield's County Commissioner on the SEDA board? Springfield Economic Development Association? What is SEDA?
Springfield Economic Development Agency.
Well, that's, I know little about it at this point. Of course, I'd have to educate myself and would do that. But it sounds to me that it's a critical position for a commissioner to do, because it's everything we've talked about this morning. Economic development is very important. It keeps the community alive, keeps the community healthy, and I think it sounds like a vital position to me.
I'm on the CETA board and I love that CETA board. I think they work very well, and I think my expertise as a developer brings a lot of light to that board. The thing with the county position in general is, yes, I think the county should have a position at that table. One is because the county needs to be a viable partner. We need to look at what's going on within Springfield and how it affects the county at large, and also how it affects our second largest municipality. It's also a purveyor. The county can also be someone of future funds or possible state funds. The two lobbying together for state and federal funds is better than one. The CETA board's mission is to bring tax dollars into the coffers of the city. So that alone, again, is an economic development driver. The county needs to be part of that economic driver picture, as we've been talking about up here all morning, is about infrastructure and tax basis and rebates and all the other incentives and levers we can pull to make a investable investment in our community pencil out. Because if it doesn't pencil out, we're not gonna have it done.
I thought Commissioner Lovell's comments is really important. What he's articulating is his skills as a developer, right? But the question isn't what do you bring to the table as a developer, it's what does the county do on that board? The county position on that board goes back like 30 years. It's time that we ask the county commission to get off that board. It's an 8-person board. If you've ever tried to divide 8, you get stuck sometimes. And also, just ensuring that Springfield has a way to kind of go forward and having clear roles and responsibilities. We see that has grown past needing to have the county commissioner on that board. It really was put on there when there's a lot more county land involved. Since then, a lot of that county land's been annexed. And extra points for the technical question from somebody.
So, Mr. Vulcan. And this question is, will probably be the last one before closing statements. How will you work with your colleagues to ensure that your ideas garner support to pass?
One more time, please.
How do you work with your colleagues to to ensure that your ideas garner support to pass?
Working with the fellow commissioners as colleagues, that's the question.
Probably, although you might think that a little bit more broadly.
Well, as I said when I first introduced myself, I listen. I treat people with dignity and respect. And I would do that as commissioner with my fellow colleagues.
Line? Working with your colleagues, like I said before, is like working with 5 separate mayors. Each mayor of the Board of County Commissioners, if you will, has their own drive and their own attention and their own particular priorities. Sometimes that gets in the way, sometimes it doesn't. I think the hardest part about being a county commissioner of 5 is you can't talk to one another. With Oregon ethics laws in place, you can't have a room saying, hey, what do you think about the fairgrounds? What do you think we should do? What's your goals? What do you want to do with that? My goals are maybe we should rethink it. Your goals are maybe we should redevelop it. The problem is we lack communication. And from a business standpoint, when you walk into a room and you can't communicate with the 5 players and people pulling the levers and making decisions in a candid way without making a decision, I think that's a hindrance. And I think that's what's hindering the Board of County Commissioners is we're so siloed and only be able to discuss things in a public meeting. And that's not sometimes the place to discuss just visionary ideas and common ground. Common ground, I think, is about 80% with our county commissioners, but you'd never know that because we only get to talk about it in a public meeting. That's where I think we should make progress.
Those relationships is at the center of good governance. Working together is at the center of good governance. It's hard to get your colleagues to agree, and come to your side if frankly you sue them. That is a tough discussion to have. And if the county has got to figure out a way forward, one of the things I think I bring to the table is not just in your own quantity. I have high trust in a lot of them. It takes a lot of listening. It takes inviting people not from Springfield over to Springfield to see our issues. It takes going out to West Lane to figure out what those issues are, because you're not actually individual mayors, you're a county commission. And that means you have to govern in some sort of shared responsibility.
So this is your opportunity for a closing statement. And so we're gonna go in reverse alphabetical order. You know I'm challenged in this area.
Two.
Mr. Mansour and Mr. Long.
So could you clarify how much time we're taking here?
1 minute.
1 minute. I see ones and twos.
Oh,
Take a vote.
one.
Yeah,
One, okay.
Okay, wait, got it. I know. I want to end by how thankful I am that you guys, that everybody's come out, especially the other candidates. Having good discussions is at the core of good civic discourse. Where we go from it as a county and how we get to a shared vision is really important. It allows us to actually make progress and set ourselves up for a bright future. I'm an optimist at heart, but hard things don't bother me. It's just where we are. Being able to find progress on some of these challenges and frankly find the hope that Lane County, has historically had is really important to me. So my commitment is to be the person I've always been. Make phone calls, come see, be out in the community, put my my political voice to explain to you what's happening so that you can understand and frankly lower the trauma. Your life will be better off if government just works and it's not on the front page so you can focus on your family, your kids, and growing your business. Thank you so much.
Well, I think the future commissioners is going to be probably evolving a bit because of the educational crisis that we have in Oregon. If you're very well aware of, Springfield is laying off a bunch of teachers, 4J, and the commissioners have little to do with that right now, but we do have budgetary concerns that deal with that, and I think our future is going to be involved with that more than I have experience. Really in educational services, we work with pretty much all the school districts, and I think that I will be a valuable asset to discussing these issues in some of the near future, I know they're coming.
Thank you. I had a great first term, but I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish. The public access gate at Harvest Lane still isn't installed, and my 94-year-old mother-in-law doesn't have speed bumps in front of her house. I was raised to be the tip of the spear. Fear is a hindrance and risk is a virtue, and lukewarm leaders produce nothing but status quo. Look around. If the state and county could be like downtown Springfield, the momentum would be unstoppable. I was an aerial combat photojournalist in the Navy. The first kind of helicopter I flew in had these little bullet patch holes along the whole side of it. The pilot told me those are bullet patch holes, sailor. That's the best kind of flying there is. You don't get shot at unless you're over the target. The waste will stop in Lane County. The full information on Clean Lane will be known. Trustworthy information will supplant ideologies and hidden agendas will be exposed on my watch. And your constitutional rights will always be defended and protected above all else. And if I don't stand for those, they're coming after you next. Safety of our citizens in first is necessary. And to a parent who's lost a child to suicide, I'll stick up for mental illness with every passionate breath I have. I'm your county commissioner, and I hope you have your vote. Thank you.
And let's thank our panelists. And thank you for the lead, for the obvious involvement in this important election.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you again to the candidates being here today and for the audience questions. There's a lot of great questions and we appreciate that. Just want to promote our next program on May 7th. It'll be the Democratic Primary House District 7 Forum, and we'll have the candidates here doing a similar round of questions with the citizens' involvement, and we hope to see you there. It'll be in this room at noon, May 7th. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.